Yo guys, it's Slyroh. You already know that today we are back playing some more Raging Loop. Before we hop into where we are today, I actually found this on my own, and then I received a comment that also confirmed that I had brought up about if there was a place that tracked like the endings and stuff that you have, and there's this album here that I assume the ones on top are the good endings, and the ones on the bottom are the bad endings. Which now I see that I still have all the ones that I have. I also received a comment saying that the hint corners are basically not optional, and that they might not count or something, but I definitely, one of these that was 4 or 5, I definitely did not watch the hint corner for, and they're still in the album, so I am still going to watch the hint corner because it's been told at least multiple times that it's very important to watch, so even if I don't think that they're all important, I will watch every hint corner from here on out, regardless on if I feel that they are like super necessary or not. I'm going to find the most recent one, which should be this one here. And we're going to continue from where we were at, which was Haruaki got drunk, got into town, so that way he could stay safely without being kicked out. They're having some sort of like food thing. We found some important leader, and I still don't know how we're getting out of this place, honestly. Maybe we'll just get enough information so that way we can get that key 20 and like do something, but like somehow we got to get back into Yasumizu to be a part of the feast. And I still don't know how we're doing it from this angle, but let's go ahead and see what we can do. The sky was clear. The eatery was split into several buildings around the village. From what Higuchi, she had told me, Fujiyoshi had a population of about 1,000 people. It was pretty small for an autonomous area, but it was still enough to make eating in one building impossible. We went into one of them. It was crowded, but upon seeing us, the villagers stepped aside as if this was all planned. Apparently, everyone here did what they could to accommodate Higuchi-shi. Also, everyone was staring at me like I was an alien or something, but I felt like Higuchi-shi's presence discouraged them from staring too long. That attitude aside, everyone here looked pretty normal. Your usual Japanese people, the lethargy from people. Wow, oh my gosh, I cannot read this morning. What is happening? The lethargy from before was nowhere to be seen. Maybe they just looked lethargic because it was an early morning. Oh my gosh. Most looked like they were farmers, but I could also see some students in uniforms bearing the same design as the ones worn by the students in Yasumizu. The building itself was an aged wooden structure, but it was a whole lot bigger than the one in Yasumizu, and looked way sturdier too. The interior wasn't too pretty, but it was spacious. You grabbed a tray right after walking in, then got tea and rice bowls or whatever from the ladies in aprons. It felt like a high school cafeteria, but you couldn't choose what you wanted. You could refuse what you didn't want, though. Oh, I'll look after him, don't worry. He spoke to the elderly woman one after another and made them stop staring at me with suspicion. Then we took our trays and without paying anything, apparently they had something like the union dues for that, how effective, walked away. Parting the crowd, we searched for a place to sit down. It's a bit cramped in here, but please do eat. I really appreciated getting to eat a normal meal. Lots of rice, miso soup, the one with vegetables and boiled beans. I really wonder if the food here is anything like the food in Yasumizu, and if we're going to learn anything about that. What if it's just like, you know, dying by like poisoned food or something, or like whatever. I thought it was vegetarian at first, but then felt something meaty inside. Is shishi not used to it? It doesn't taste that strange, does it? Shishi, like shishi? Boar? Not specifically. In here, deer, boar, all the wild meat is called shishi. Oh yeah, I heard that shishi once used to be the Japanese reading for meat before it became niku. I'm surprised you know that. The people of this area have been hunting for a long time, and even now, the hunters share what they catch, like they did with this. I hadn't thought I'd ever eat wild game in some communal eatery. Lucky me. Yeah, that's not too bad. Though the taste was kind of bland overall. I could detect some soy sauce on the vegetables, while the boiled beans were kind of sweet. The soup stock, too, made me think they used the minimal amount of flavoring. The miso soup didn't really seem like miso soup. It was more like a stew, probably because shishi was the only thing they used for the stock. I tasted more of it and realized that the overboiled meat still had a sort of beastly texture and smell about it. I couldn't call it good, but it was a unique local meal not everyone had the chance to eat. I was grateful for the experience. The eatery was still crowded as the people came and went, but Higuchi-shi didn't seem bothered as we talked. I kept up with him during the conversation, repeating the same lies I told the officer, and make sure to look as much a poor, unfortunate soul as I could. He smiled all the way through, even as he interjected now and again. I felt like he was at least 100 times craftier than the officer, and I wonder if it was my inner contrarian speaking. After that, Higuchi-shi and I returned to the officer's post, but, what would you say to Fusaishi-san moving to Fujiyoshi? It was what I wanted to hear, but I couldn't let it show on my face. While the officer was against it, he didn't intend to argue too strongly. He and Higuchi-shi discussed some things, but it seemed like Higuchi-shi already knew how he'd treat me, and it didn't look like the officer's take mattered to him. After a few exchanges, the officer caved, and it was my turn to speak. You're okay with this too, aren't you, Fusaishi-san? Now that was a smile I couldn't say no to even if I wanted to. Well, it really did seem like the heads of Khan Fujiyoshi were a twisted bunch. Yes, this opportunity is a godsend for me. You can settle in right away, but it's going to be a place a short distance from here. Oh, so we're being relocated by Shoji Higuchi. Was he serious? I don't mind. What kind of place is it? I'll tell you more in a moment. Oh, that reminds me. We had some people already headed there. Those two, huh? We'll ask them to take you there. There was no mistaking it. He smiled like he was harmless while forcing me into the settlement for the ostracized. Interesting. So because I'm an outsider, and because instead of just rejecting me and going the way back, he's actually just relocating me to Yasumizu to be ostracized. Interesting. Okay. I mean, we'll take it. So do I have to sign anything? We can take care of that later. I know someone in Tokyo. He can act as a proxy for that. Anyway, we must start with your place of residence. You'd be a bother if you stayed in the officer's post after all. I'll talk to the ones going there. Don't worry. They're from the city too. I'll have to tell the locals about you too. I'll be quite busy, but I'm sure I can get it all done by lunch. Anyway, goodbye for now. He one-sidedly ended the conversation and left the post. I mean, we're still going to be kind of an outsider, but because we're going to be put there by a family, or like we're going to be ostracized there in the same way that they were, maybe they'll be more forgiving and like open to listening to things that I have to say. Nice guy. On the surface anyway. Yeah. The officer understood the situation, didn't like it, but couldn't go against one of the heads. This is probably why Chemid said we couldn't trust the police. In Fujiyoshi, even government institutions were only a secondary authority. Anyway, what can I make of this? I did actually expect to be sent to Yasumizu. The people here had no interest in harboring outsiders. We aren't welcome. Or maybe they wanted to avoid the initial trouble caused by my immigration by making me live with the ostracized until I got used to the village. Whatever the case, this wasn't something I had a say in, which made it seem really bad. That was probably why the officer was so against it. I can understand that. Higuchi, on the other hand, seemed a bit heavy-handed with all this. I could understand him wanting to set me up with the place quickly, but as someone who knew about the feast, I couldn't help but be suspicious of the timing. The mist would come this evening, and he wanted to give Yasumizu a new inhabitant until then. Did Higuchi, ahead of Kami Fujiyoshi, understand what that meant? Does he know that the mists are going to happen? Like, does he have any, like, role in that? Interesting. Have you ever read Kyuko Hosei's articles? Sorry. I went through a highly familiar exchange and finished my introduction to Hisako Mamiya a second time. Hello, it's nice to meet you. Hello. He was as hard to deal with as always. Higuchi worked fast, thorough too. He'd gotten back to me before noon, and before I knew it, I was greeting the ones who'd lead me to my place. Just as expected, they were the journalists. Higuchi-san said that he already contacted the people in Yasumizu. What about you? Are you ready? Yes, I'm more worried about you, in fact. Oh, we're alright. If we can get there at noon, we won't have to stay hungry for long. I see. So you intended to come later for their convenience? Yes, he said we should avoid coming when the people there are eating. Honestly, I wanted to cover their eating environment, so this is a bit of a stroke of luck. Oh, this has probably also had something to do with the people of Fujiyoshi not wanting to show their daily lives to outsiders. They could have just refused them completely, though. Did the journalists have connections that made them impossible to refuse? Or did they want to show what a developed settlement it was? Or maybe they had no intention of letting them go? Unlikely. If they killed anyone from Yasumizu, or some nobody like me, they could easily conceal it due to how isolated the location was. But the two journalists had come here to make an article. If something were to happen to them here, it'd be certain to draw unwanted attention to the village. On the other hand, if Kami Fujiyoshi's people knew that the feast was near, they probably wouldn't have allowed them here. So they probably didn't know. Okay, so they don't know that the feast is about to happen. I think we should head over now. What do you think, Hashimoto-san? Fine. Well, he was slow, but he actually communicated with someone. That was rare. So, sorry for the bother, and thank you for having me. No worries. That was the first exchange I'd shared with him, in this life anyway. Yeah, and I'm trying to think of the timeline, because I think when we were there the first time, these reporters had been there for a couple days, right? So they must have come back here to sleep, but then on the night where they get killed, they just don't go back? Okay. Maybe that's the difference. Okay. Of course, now get in. The van started slowly traveling down the thin paved road between the farms. Come to think of it, May was rice planting season. The field had water all over it and didn't display a single weed. It was full of people planting rice seedlings by hand. They're not using machines. Looks like it. The people here don't seem to like modern technology. Combines and tractors aren't that new, if you ask me. I'm impressed they're doing such a good job by hand. I'm not sure they are. That's why the big families here are trying to get heavy machinery for the job. I see, like Higuchi-san? I heard that the Migurama were in charge of farming developments. I see, so they have money, huh? Seems so. Not quite sure how that works. Something has to work here? Well, how do I put this? What I mean to say is the big families are strangely rich for a mountain village with an aging populace where the young go work outside. Really? Yes, the Migurama house is really big. They even had a large foreign car. Yeah, even if it was something that could easily be explained, it was still something to keep in mind. Q-chan. Yes? The strange nickname Hashimoto-san used surprised me, but Mamiya-san herself didn't seem bothered. You shouldn't make too many assumptions. But the journalist within you is curious? It's nothing that big. I think you should just leave it at that. Is that your famous photographer intuition talking? Who knows? Well, alright, this isn't my specialty anyway. Anyway, forget what I said. Yes. Nope. By the way, I heard you're moving here. That's how it turned out. Have you heard about the place you're going to? I didn't, but I can imagine what it's like. My words made her give me a strange look. As in, it probably isn't a good place to live in, it being separate from the main settlement and all. Why do you think that? A few people looked comfortable about how I'd be treated. While Higuchi-san looked less like a nice guy, and more like someone who could easily shrug off any guilt his actions would cause him. I see. Don't mind me, though. I'm satisfied with where I'm going. Maybe I shouldn't say anything, but it's a really isolated place. I don't know if loving the countryside is enough to bear it. Don't worry, compared to dying, any place is heaven. Wait, that must sound strange. Hahaha. What an awkward laugh. Apparently, they'd told me I'd almost committed suicide. Or, I think I read that wrong, but it's fine. I was distracted. I'm curious, though. What kind of place is it? It's special. Yushan? You should try choosing your words carefully, but they made it sound worse than just a place for the ostracized. Hashimoto seemed to be warning her, but she continued talking anyway. I still don't know much, but it's full of people who are unfairly forced to live there. Both the place and the people living there aren't regarded highly here in Kamafujiyoshi. Think before you go leaking information. I pick and choose who I'm saying this to. This is something a person who is moving there should know. It's only fair. There's something you should say before that, though. Right, sorry. Fusaishi-san, please keep this off the record. Sure, I won't say a word to the people there. With that in mind, are you sure? You can still go back with us if you change your mind after seeing it. If you wouldn't mind, would you, Hashimoto-san? I'll think about it if that's what he wants. Fusaishi-san, do you want to leave with us? These two had an interesting relationship. Mamiya-san did all the talking, but Hashimoto-san seemed to outrank her. Hell, though he didn't speak much, everything he said was really well constructed, made sense, so to speak. While Mamiya-san often became overly excited, Hashimoto-san was strangely stable, and not just in terms of appearance. But this was no time to scrutinize my traveling companions. No, I don't feel like going back to the city anymore. Thank you for the consideration, though. But, Mamiya-san, you're probably saying this as a fellow city dweller, but you realize I'm a pretty shady character myself, right? I'm just grateful for your help. That's more than enough. I see. Then I won't say anything more. Haruaki Fusaishi-kun, was it? Yes? You really don't look like a guy at the end of his rope. I get that a lot. Must be my carefree attitude. I see. I'm sorry. You know, one of my classmates in middle school committed suicide. He was always so carefree that we couldn't believe he'd done something like that. Guess that's the way it is sometimes. I might have said too much. Recalling the scene at the officer's post, I tried to get back into the character of the poor suicidal man. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work. The van slowly ambled onward. We approached a slightly more open space. It seemed to be the center of the village, and it looked like there were small shops there. But as we went on, it started to become even more desolate, and you could see more and more trees growing between the buildings. If that was where Kamafujiyoshi ended, it was only about 3 kilometers across. If it was about 10 square kilometers in size, it had 100 people for every one of them. The stones I'd seen back in Yasumizu were nowhere in sight. Apparently, they really were Yasumizu exclusive. I could see a larger building nearby, and Mamiya-san told me it was a branch school from some nearby town. All students in Fujiyoshi must get their education there before moving on to help in the fields. The smarter ones left to work outside the village upon graduating high school. Those who went from here to college were rare, meaning that, at least relative to other locals, Chemi was a prodigy. The students from Yasumizu should have been in school this time of day. Once we passed the last residence, we entered an area mostly untouched by human hand. The road led us into the overgrown mountains. There are large stones on each side of the road. Impressive, huh? They're like tories. Tories? Yes, trees inhabited by the birds serving the gods, or a gateway through a sacred boundary. Fujiyoshi worships the mountain, apparently. Oh, Great Lord Shinai. Haruaki, how do you know this? You know about it? Crap. Higuchi-san told me a few things. Anyway, you don't really hear that this mountain is special outside this village, do you? I've never heard of the god Shinai. Going by the kanji, it sounds like it's a monkey god of some sort, but that one is only used in calendars and directions. Weren't your articles about food? Oh, sorry, I used to write about the occult. Quickly switched topics because it wasn't keeping food on the table. She looked like your typical neat and fashionable career woman, so this was really unexpected. Really, it sounds interesting, though. In this day and age, anyone who wants to read that kind of stuff just uses the internet. Everything in magazines is a lie, and all the real occult info is on the net. That's the general opinion of people into the occult these days. The piece of the pie that's still around was taken by the leading writers. We newbies didn't have a chance. Now that she mentioned it, I hadn't seen as many magazines on the occult and the supernatural these days. No idea if that was a good thing, though. I'm not sure if I've ever seen magazines talking about that stuff. I mean, I'm sure they existed, but... I mean, who reads magazines anymore, honestly? But yeah, any magazines that I do see is still, like, it's very much, like, pop culture stuff, for old people, probably. The car passed a large boulder. The road is about to get bumpy. Be careful. Alright. The moment he said that, the car jumped, scaring the crap out of me. If those stones were the mountain's boundary, we were now on Great Lord Shinai's turf. Beyond it, we'd find Yasumizu and Saranaga. The entrance to Yomi was beyond the sacred ground. This religion just kept getting weirder and weirder. Eventually, the pavement ended, and we were on a gravel road. The grove of the trees became a dark forest. It was cloudy, so there wasn't much light to begin with, which only made this place extra creepy. I composed myself. After all, the real creepiness was at the end of this road. We weren't saying a word anymore, and I thought about mundane stuff like the convenience of cars. We went down on the side of the mountain for about 20 minutes, and eventually made it through God's narrow road. Beyond the dense forest, there was a relatively open space. We'd arrived at the entrance I'd passed when Haru-chan escaped the settlement, and I searched for her. There were the same 2 large stones, and they did a great job telling me that this was some sort of boundary. We're close. I felt like I heard a hint of nervousness in her tone. Were we about to enter a strange realm? Like, I mean, you know that you are. Or were we already there? There was no point thinking about it now. We just passed the gate and... Hello, she was. I stared, careful not to lose sight of her. Our eyes met. A mysterious red stare. Wait here, trailing behind her. She looked at the van as we passed. And she fell? She hit the stone. She hit her head on the stone and is now writhing in pain. Hey, please stop the van. What? Sudden as it was, Hashimoto stopped the van. I jumped out and ran to her. Are you alright? Did she just, like, fall? Did we distract her? She was still writhing on the ground with her hands on her head. There was no trace of the divinity and mystery from last time, or from just a moment ago. It hurts. I can tell. Who are you? Just a passerby. What do you mean just a passerby? You're gonna be living here. Who am I? Hold on. I merely wanted to say that. Oh, so you feel like the joking around at least, huh? The pain made me lose my composure for a moment. The girl, or rather woman, since she was older than me, became red as a tomato right before my eyes. Rikaku Uematsu. Was she an albino? Her skin and hair were pale, while her eyes were blood red. Her unusual appearance and manner of speech were exactly as I remembered. But man, where did this playfulness come from? Well, I hadn't spoken to her much last time, so maybe I didn't know her as well as I thought I did. Are you okay? Be honest. My late mother said that pain is proof you are well. Hey, that depends on the situation. Excuse me. Slightly hesitant, I reached out for her head, gently touched it, and examined the damage. Ow. Oh, you're bleeding a bit. That's gonna leave a bump. You should take it easy for a while. Are you a doctor? No, this sort of thing is common knowledge. From the look of the wound, it isn't that bad, is it? Are you okay? Yes, but having my hair touched like that makes me feel a bit odd. I rather like the feeling, but I am uncertain. How should I respond? Was the skin on her head sensitive or something? Physical intimacy with the first villager you meet? Not bad, Fusaishi-kun. What are you saying? Oh gosh! Could you not appear that, close to the screen? Oh my gosh, that freaked me out. Oh gosh. A brown-haired man is trying to take Uematsu-sama. Out of nowhere came the old lady. That was terrifying. Oh my gosh. No, I'm not. Listen up. Lady, Uematsu-sama here slipped up and hit her head, so I just... How do you know her name? Help. What horrible things does this hoodlum do to you, Uematsu-sama? How awful. She wasn't listening at all. That was terrifying. Feeling a bit stupid for worrying so much about her, I explained what happened and cleared up the misunderstanding. My apologies for the trouble. The ones to blame are the ones who misunderstood. Sorry. Now, Uematsu-sama, you should come and rest at home. No need to worry about me, Yamawaki-san. Nosato-sama is in Yasumizu right now. I'll call him. We can take you. Yes, please do. Now, this is unusual. She hated outsiders, but she couldn't say no to Hashimoto-san's presence. I wonder if there's something to... Are certain personalities, like, different this time? Are there things that are, you know, off and it's not going to be the exact same time loop? Because that's still a running theory that I'm not convinced that we're going to have, like, the same people be the werewolves every single time. Like, it might change. And that could also be certain personalities changing a little bit as well. But who knows? Uematsu-san, was it? Are you sure you don't have to go to the hospital? We have a doctor here. Really? That's good. Then, we'll give you a hand. Want to get on? Apologies for the trouble. Sorry, Fusaishi-kun, you're stuck with the back. It was full of equipment, though. I can walk. Don't. I've been talking nonchalantly, but her response was a stern one. Well, it was true I could have caused some serious trouble if I'd arrived completely alone. I knew this from my experience arriving via Saranaga. Also, I wasn't supposed to be familiar with the area. I had to avoid looking suspicious. My apologies, it's fine, don't worry about it. No, I mean, I am Rikaku Uematsu. Rikaku as in plum flower and Uematsu as in spin and end. Oh, right, we haven't properly introduced ourselves. Haruaki Fusaishi, Fusa from Kitchen, and Ishi from Stone Tools, and Haruaki from the Japanese for Neo-Confucianism. Is that different from the last time he explained it? Because I think it is. I think people are just, like, making things up when they say that. I don't know. Haruaki Fusaishi? I feel like she didn't get it at all. Anyway, thanks to that, I became an inhabitant of the back seat and a fellow passenger alongside Rikaku Uematsu. For a brief moment, anyway, we didn't speak much. The only noteworthy thing was the strange smell of dried aromatic wood she'd brought along. Besides that, I was just struggling to keep my seat as we jostled down the bumpy road. Leaving a trail on the unpaved road, we arrived and drove through Yasumizu. We passed the front of the Nosato mansion, then the construction site, Tai-san's house, probably, until finally we arrived at the plaza. By the time we got there, Uematsu-san seemed to be in perfect health and apologized profusely for the trouble she'd caused, though it'd be best if she took care of the wound on her head. Mamiya-san and I went alongside her and took her to the house she was living in. Gosh, don't show that again. It was the same place where she lost her mind and the rest of us had barricaded her in. Now then, I shall wait for Nosato-sama just in case. Take care. Yes, Fusaishi-sama, I will surely make it up to you. Oh, don't worry about that. Whoa. I completely forgot about Uematsu-san's extra. Oh, who's this girl? You did not see her yesterday? She wandered into Yasumizu 2 days ago. Oh, from Kam Fujiyoshi? I can drive her back if you want. No, she... why not ask someone else? Rikaku-san needs to rest. Oh? You have a point. Then we'll be leaving now. What about this girl? Meiko. Uematsu-san called to Meiko and brought her inside. A stronger smell began wafting from the building. Maybe they were burning incense. She's cute, isn't she? Yeah. Her attire combined with her appearance make her look just mystifying. Attire? You didn't notice? While it's in the style of a Shinto shrine maiden uniform, the dark coloration is clearly Buddhism influenced. It's clearly religious garb. I never expected a place so remote to have its own religion. How exciting. It's no good to be enthusiastic... it's good to be enthusiastic about your work, but there are limits to how far you should pry, don't you think? Man, everyone seemed to disappear out of nowhere this time. Oh, Nosato-san, I'm sorry. Are you here to treat Uematsu-san? Mamiya-san gave a confident journalistic smile and spoke to Kinosuke no Satoshi. Yes, if you're aware of that, then please clear the way. And who is this man? Oh, he's Haruaki Fusaishi-san. Higuchi-san sent him to live here. Huh? Hello, I hope we get along. You're not from Fujiyoshi, are you? No, I'm not. Things happened, I left Tokyo and ended up here. What's Higuchi thinking? You have my sympathy, though. Anyway, I'm off. I'm coming in, Rikaku-san. Sympathy, huh? As condescending as always. After parting ways with him, we return to the plaza. Hashimoto-san was taking photos of small flower nearby. I could imagine that someone told him not to take photos of the houses. We were the only ones here, and I couldn't hear anything but the wind. It was strangely quiet. Like always, this place is... She fell silent before finishing her derisive comment. Wise move. Wouldn't be good to finish that comment by comparing the place to a ghost town. Let's go, then. You're going to the dining hall, right? Yes. Despite having next to nothing to do with me, Mamiya-san was helping me out a lot. Then again, she was heading there, too. And then there's Kaori. Okay, now that we're going to start meeting everybody and we're in Yasumizu, I think this is a good time to stop and start the next episode. So hopefully you are enjoying and looking forward to more. If so, let me know. But I'm going to go ahead and see you on the next time. So till then, peace out.